Yo, what is going on, y'all? I'm Cavell Anderson, and we are back with another VV and Ecomi video, man. In this one, we're going to be talking about the Veveverse a little bit. If you all don't know, there was an amazing interview done yesterday with Trevor. I'm gonna be honest, I actually fell asleep during the end of it, so I have not finished watching it. I will continue to I will jump into it and continue to see what was said towards the end of it. But there was a lot of points during the beginning of it that I actually enjoyed listening to, and it did change perspective a little bit. It did help us understand a lot more what's realistic, what's unrealistic, what could come in later time frames, what he's not even considering. Like he basically gave us a great mindset of where the developer's mind is actually at when it comes to VV and what we can realistically expect. So before we jump into it, be sure to drop that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and turn on notifications so you stay updated with everything going on. And yeah, let's jump straight in. So one of the things that was interesting is from what I take from it, the VVverse will not be Ready Player One, especially coming straight out of the gate. It's not going to be Ready Player One. It's not going to be up to that quality and up to that level. One of the most memorable things for me that he talked about is how it can't be like a burnout like type of, like they can't do like a burnout type of racing games. They can't do certain things because of, first off, how small the team is, and then like these games take years and years and hundreds of people to develop and stuff like that. So having that expectation for the quality is like unrealistic, very unrealistic. Based on what all the stuff that was said, I have an idea of what I think would probably be the most realistic. And honestly, I think that it's giving the community the tools. Like based on what I heard, when it comes to the VVverse, I think that the best route would be giving the community tools. Because if you take a game like Fortnite, I don't know if you all have ever played like the little creative mode, where you can literally build your own world within Fortnite. I think that takes away the need to have developers spending hours and hours and all this time creating something when the players themselves can do it. Like, cause that was one of my favorite things to do back when I used to play Fortnite a lot. I actually used to just sit around with my friends. We used to create escape rooms and stuff like that, and we used to like enjoy that. Like that, it was a whole community just like really built around building stuff to play, like building racing games, building like they just gave us a bunch of elements in the world and said, okay, create a world. But the difference is it was like we was doing it for free. We was doing it just for fun. People will do stuff like that just for fun. But now when there's money involved, when you can buy land, when you can buy these elements, when you could, you can make this a full-on business, I think it's a lot more potential here. So, yeah, man. I think that it definitely would be better because they don't have the staff team to support making a huge insane amount of content in a world, in a whole metaverse. I think what would be wise is to let the community create the metaverse for you and give the community the tools to do it. But I don't know if that's the route that they're going to go. That's just some of my thoughts on it. Because instead of trying to hire a full-on, like a team big enough and huge enough to create all these worlds themselves, why not just hire a team that can work on the tools? Make sure the tools is as sharp as possible. Make sure the restrictions are there. Make sure, like, really just design a platform where creative people can design all day long. Because the fact of the matter is, he made an example where he talked about how they were forced to play each game that they was testing for like an hour a day, and that was like 3,000 hours a week or something like that. Basically, however the math added up, it's nothing compared to 5 minutes of like millions of people just playing the game and testing it. Like millions of people would do in 5 minutes what it took them a whole year to do, basically. So when you take that into consideration, it's the same thing for building out a platform. If you trying to like you speed up development if you leave the development in the hands of the community, and then if people can make money from these communities, they're motivated to buy land. They're motivated to build things on this land. They're motivated to create this world. It just has to be restrictions and rules and stuff like that, and that's a hell of a lot easier than trying to, okay, let me create a Batman area. We're going to put like a whole Bet Cave here. We're going to put this there. We're going to put like, in this place, we're going to build a whole Jurassic Park land over here. Then we're going to build, like, yeah, if you got developers doing this individual stuff everywhere, that's gonna be very difficult and complicated to do. But I think you put all those tool, you put the right tools. Like you make tools, okay, you make it so okay, a person can move this item this many blocks. They can only move it around the land that they own. The second they try to place something outside of the land that they own, barriers. Like it's easier to do that than it is to try to sit here and build everything everywhere else. So yeah, that's one thing that I noticed. Like they were talking about how it won't be Ready Player One level, and I don't think anything's wrong with it. I think you need to be able to work up towards that. Also, he did speak about like one thing that he said that led me to believe it could be going in this direction. Is he was talking about how VV's focus is user generated content. Like when it comes down to the showroom, the pictures, basically. Like when he was saying that stuff, how they do a strong focus on user generated content, like a user generated world, like that would probably make the most sense, especially for their goals, because their goal is to do the best job possible that they possibly can with the NFTs. It's not time efficient for them to try to be building a whole entire world when they're trying to build the greatest NFTs, especially once he explained how long it takes to make an NFT, and you have all these different brands. Like, let's say they did get a crazy brand like the NFL. It's hundreds of these players. And if it takes a week to get one of them done, come on now. If it takes a week to get one of them done, and it's 100 of the NFL alone, you need to be hiring a team to be focusing on the NFTs. You need one small team to focus on creating tools for the Veveverse, and just let the community build the Veveverse, and then you just fix bugs and stuff like that in the Veveverse and stuff like that. So I think that's the best approach. That's the most logical approach in my mind, and it seems like it could be leaning towards that direction, but we'll see. And then he spoke on gamification a little bit when he was talking about levels, rewards, accomplishments, and stuff like that. I think that's obviously a great aspect, and he also even broke down how the whole platform in itself is in a way gamification. So yeah, he didn't give a crazy amount of details, but I liked his perspective. He gave a lot of technical perspective that a lot of people, I feel like, got a better understanding of what's realistic, what we can really expect to come. And he also said how we're probably pretty far off from games with NFTs. So like basically, in being able to like transfer NFTs to different worlds and stuff like that, and have your NFT running around basically in different game modes and things like that. It's going to be very limited, and then a bunch of restrictions from licensors and stuff like that. That is going to be tricky. Also, he said like just having drivable cars that's simple is a lot more difficult for Need for Speed. That was the reference he made. Need for Speed. Like for instance, he literally said if we wanted Need for Speed quality racing, that would be a 2-year project. If they had a big team, solely focused on that, that would be a 2-year project. So that being said, the quality of the games that we're going to see in the Veveverse, I don't think it's going to be anything crazy. I think that a 2-year development, I think that for Need for Speed style, I think that it's worth it. I think that it's definitely worth it. And if they have a 10-year plan, I think it would be worth it to build out that experience. Because 2 years, I mean, that's nothing. 2 years is nothing at all when you consider the fact that GTA be taking 10 years. If you can get your VV, your collectibles, and you can eventually, like, if you can build out this world where everybody can build the world, they do all that and stuff like that, then you can create an area of that world where it's like a whole Need for Speed racing area, customizations, and putting nitro and boosts and stuff like that in cars. Like, if you can build out that area in 2 years, and it's literally super high quality where that's its own game, obviously that place would generate mad money, and it's something that people would actually wait for, especially if you know that it's coming. So I don't think that it's a problem necessarily. That the thing is, the way that he spoke about it, I don't think that it's even in their thoughts right now. I don't think they're thinking to build something like Need for Speed I don't think something like that is even coming in the future. So, I mean, that's kind of disappointing because a lot of people are thinking Ready Player One, and and that's one of the references that they have made. But based on what he was saying, it's like, but and also you got to keep in mind that he's a developer, so they probably hired him to tell them what's realistic because these guys are collectors. They come in like, yo, let's create this crazy world. We want this to be Ready Player One. We want to do that. Then he's like, yo, slow your roll. Do you know what this would take for this to be Ready Player One? Just to have a racing aspect to this would take 2 years. You realize this? And they probably didn't. They probably wouldn't know something like that. So, I don't know what's going to end up happening. A lot of the stuff that people are hoping for seems like it would take a long time to develop. So, yeah, it's weird. It's weird. I don't know where we're left at. Then he was talking about interactive NFTs, how complicated it would be. So let's say you have Batman. You have a Batman. You can play as Batman, and then you can sit inside of the Batmobile or something like do the Batmobile like sit inside the DeLorean. He said that probably would not be something that they're working on because of how complex that would be. So I know it may seem simple just taking Batman and putting him in a DeLorean, but the reason that he said makes sense. So when you think about elements like that, it has to work with all the other elements that already exist. So you take Batman, let's say Batman can spin around and do a backwards flip. Let's say he sits in a car. You got to make sure he can't spin around and do a backwards flip in that seat. Make sure his legs can't kick through the roof and stuff like that. But let's say you got Superman. Superman has laser beams coming out of his eyes. You got to make sure his laser beams can't shoot through the windshield. Let's say you have freaking a dinosaur. You got to make sure a dinosaur can't even get in. So basically, every single NFT that they already have made and every single NFT that they're going to make in the future, they're going to have to make sure that when it interacts with this car, and that's just one vehicle, when it interacts with this one vehicle, it's not going to damage anything. They got to make sure all this stuff works together. And then when he was saying that, it made me realize, how damn near impossible it would be to make interactive NFTs like that. So I don't think that that's something we'll necessarily see coming. I don't know if we'll be able to see Batmans and stuff running around the world. Like, I think what would be better probably is having avatars able to run around and interact with stuff. I think that that's much more manageable than trying to have different NFTs trying to run around this. And then you have different places in the world where you can use your NFTs. So if you go to an area where you can use your Batman NFT if you have it, or an area that's only unlocked if you have certain Batman NFTs and stuff like that, that would be dope. Because then people can go to the marketplace and buy, like if one place in the Veveverse is so lit because it has a certain NFT and that's required for you to have access to that place, then you can go to the marketplace, and honestly, that's going to force sales in the marketplace because let's say the most fun place in the marketplace is the Harley Quinn place, and you don't have Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn people are charging $1,000 for Harley Quinn, which means if you want access to that place and you don't have Harley Quinn, it costs $1,000. You go, you buy Harley Quinn, now you have access. And that's only going to increase the value. That's only going to increase the value of the NFTs. So honestly, I think something like that would be very, very beneficial. So, but he did focus a lot on what we could expect. And that's like stuff like life-size collectibles, like super big, super small, while maintaining certain levels of detail where it still looks amazing at all sizes. He also talked about how VR, virtual reality, would be super expensive. And he doesn't feel like the world is even moving towards virtual reality right now. 20, 30 years, he doesn't even know if in 20 or 30 years is going to be moving in that direction. Because it is. That's a lot of detail. It's expensive to make a game right now when it's not virtual reality. So when it comes to the point where you're making virtual reality, where you got on glasses and you're looking in the world and it has to be a certain level of quality and a certain level of detail, I get it. And he said that's why it's not many people working on virtual reality right now. But the demand is definitely going to be there. The demand is going to be there. So the world is going to move there at some point. I think that just as a developer, he might not be interested in that, but I think that there's a big part of the world who is interested in that. But you actually have to have that proven that demand is there. And I mean, I guess it can't. It's like Tesla. People didn't know that they wanted electric cars until they had the option to get it. And now look at Tesla. So I feel like we do have some companies out here, really focusing on VR. I don't feel like Vivi is going to be one of those companies. I feel like Dave and them, they had big plans and big dreams and big goals for Vivi, but some of this stuff is unrealistic. And I feel like Trevor is actually coming in and being a voice of reason. Like, obviously, if they're super passionate about something and really want something to happen, it's going to happen. But he's been realistic about what can be expected, at least as of now. One thing that he did announce is that when it comes to Jurassic Park, the models are actually from the same models used in the movies. So the quality is going to be insane. He wants NFTs that you can hear them. You can hear them. You can like when they run, like when you open a door on a DeLorean, the sound effect plays. Like, he's excited about the quality of the NFTs, which is amazing. Like that's amazing. So as far as how deep diving into the gaming aspect, I think that even I don't think that it's going to be as a gamer palace, as much as a gamer palace I think a lot of us were expecting. Especially when they said Ready Player One, we're thinking of this huge gaming palace, and when it turns out, I don't think that that's realistic at all. So, it's nice to hear from a developer's perspective about all these things, because I think that like I said, I think that they're just regular people with big dreams and knowledge of the NFT space, but they might not have known what it would take development wise behind the scenes. Like, oh, we can't build a whole world like that. You know what type of team? Like, I think he said you need like 1,000 or 2,000 guys to make and then 100 years or something like that to make a Ready Player One type of place. And yeah, like, I mean, look, it takes them 10 years just to make GTA. It takes 10 years to make GTA. Ready Player One, yeah, I can imagine making Ready Player One would be insane. It would take an insane amount of time. So yeah, basically what I took from that is they're heavily focused on the NFTs and the experience, which we know this is the NFT and that type of project. This is that type of project. So all in all, I was satisfied with the part of the interview that I did catch, the part that I saw before I went to sleep. I'm definitely excited to hear about a lot of this stuff. It is kind of readjusting expectations a bit, because I think that is important. With all the leaks, with all the hints, with all this information that we get and all the information that comes out, I think expectations are very inflated. But even with this readjustment of expectations, I don't feel any less bullish on the project, because even though the focus is on the NFTs, I feel like they've already said that they're going to go where the demand is. So if the demand is a game, like a playable virtual world, they're going to go towards that direction. But they have to see that that's the direction that people want this project to go in. So as they develop things, as they get into their groove, as they hire new people and stuff like that, and they start doing what makes sense, and after they get what's already here working properly, then we can look towards what's coming year 2, what's coming year 3, what's coming year 5, like where this project is actually going. Because I think in 5 years, we should be seeing like crazy Need for Speed style racing and stuff like that in this world. But we're so early on in development, it's not going to happen. Something like that is not going to happen this year. What I am hoping for is some type of Fortnite style creative mode. I hope that could happen. Like, at least given the tools and given the freedom to buy land and stuff like that in the Veveverse. I'm hoping to see Veveverse sooner than later. But and sooner, I mean by sometime this year, beginning next year. But yeah, I don't know. So yeah, this was just some of my thoughts that I wanted to share with you all. Definitely let me know in the comment section what you think. How did you all feel about the interview if you saw it? Be sure to drop that thumbs up on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Turn on notifications so you stay updated. And I'm gonna catch you all on the next one, man. Peace out.